It was not that long ago the BYU secondary was considered to be their Achilles heel of maybe the entire football program. Well, recent history tells us it's become an absolute strength, and a big reason why is one guy, Jernaro Gilford.
You are Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast on the BYU Cougars, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into Locked On Cougars, your daily podcast focused on the BYU Cougars. I'm Jake Hatch, executive producer of the KSL Sports Zone in Salt Lake City, Utah, and a 13, soon to be 14-year credentialed media member at BYU. I am your resident expert and insider as your host here on this podcast. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Coming up on today's show, we're talking about BYU secondary, particularly their cornerback unit, and why we should always trust that Jernaro Gilford will get the best out of his guys as they look to make this another strong point of BYU's defense. Then we're going to catch up with Big 12's, Executive Vice President of Football, Scott Draper. Had a lot of good thoughts on BYU's fit in the Big 12 Conference. More importantly, how the Big 12 views football and what the changes might be on the horizon for the sport. We'll catch up with him. We had a conversation at Big 12 Media Days. And then we'll finish up today's show talking about Utah football with one guy who many BYU fans hope was going to be donning BYU blue and white at some point during his life. That would be the man, the myth, the legend. They call him Smith Snowden. All right, so coming up right now, let's talk about BYU's secondary. A lot of question marks annually have always been asked, okay, does BYU have anybody that can really cover players one-on-one? Well, the recent past, especially since Jay Hill took over as BYU's defense, is simply put, BYU's corners have had to make sure they cover guys one-on-one. Guys like Eddie Heckard, guys have come through this program like Jakob Robinson, who have proven to be very, very adept cornerbacks, if not next-level type players. The question mark this year is, why are you even questioning why Jernaro Gilford is doing what he's doing? Because he has proven annually to maybe be the most overlooked and underappreciated coach on BYU's entire coaching staff. I don't think people realize what Jernaro Gilford has done for this football program. He has brought in guys that BYU for years would have loved to have had as even one of those guys in the football program, let alone having maybe 3 or 4 on the roster. And all he does is continue to pump out guys who get the job done, if not become downright stars. That's what I love about Jernaro Gilford's role. And the best part about Jernaro, he is as humble as they come, and he will never take the credit for it. He will always deflect it onto the players. But you know what? As a former player, a former BYU star in his own right, Jernaro knows what it takes to get it done at the cornerback position, and especially get it done at Brigham Young University. And that's one thing I will always appreciate about him. And this year, it may be his finest work. If he pumps out the type of season that we all expect him to pump out, compared to the proven commodities he has at his disposal, it just seems like this year may be the year that he really kind of earns his laurels, and BYU fans come to appreciate him even more. He's not having an absolute dearth of talent, or Darth. Some of you like to make fun of me for using my Utah accent when I use that word. But the thing is, you look at the cornerback position for BYU this year, and it's not necessarily that it's short on talent. It's just the experience factor is a little bit lacking. Now, you look at it, Evan Johnson was a spot starter for a time last year and proved to be a pretty capable option for BYU at cornerback. He's dealt with injury concerns, and the hope is that he has a healthy campaign this year as maybe BYU's number 1 cornerback. Mory Bamba was one of the few guys that got the extra year of eligibility back with the JUCO transfer rules, as wonky as they are. And at 6'3", $190, and able to run with anybody, Mory hopes to have maybe the best season to date in his Cougar career. I thought he had a phenomenal performance overall against Colorado in that bowl game, and the hope is that he can kind of become that every single game and be that type of a player. If those two guys in particular emerge as BYU stars at cornerback and kind of hold the fort down there, okay, the Cougars are going to be very, very happy. But beyond that, they've also got some other options. Tre Alexander is absolutely chomping at the bit to become a star in his own right. Similar to Mory Bamba, he's got all the size in the world, listed at 6'3". I think he's listed at 180 currently. Tre has got every skill you want in a cornerback. Will this be the year he finally makes the position his own? That's the expectation and hope for him as he kind of emerges into a focal point of BYU's defense. even if it's not this year that he makes the position his own, there is a very clear path, it feels like, in the near future for him to become a household name for Cougar fans, if he's not that already, because he's doing some pretty incredible stuff on the recruiting trail. He's been very outspoken about, hey, I'm going to get this done when it comes to bringing recruits to BYU. Well, if Tre can match his prowess off the field when it comes to recruiting with his on-field ability, guess what? We could have a pretty incredible package in that mix. You also include guys like Marcus McKenzie, who have got a lot of talent, but injuries have really kind of precluded him from really emerging at the position. And you've got some options at cornerback. And I expect that Jernaro Gilford, he will put these guys through their absolute paces. He will make sure they are as prepared as he possibly can make them for whatever BYU faces this year in the Big 12. And if he gets the type of production, as I mentioned, he's gotten seemingly annually out of BYU's cornerbacks since he's been coaching at BYU, well, the Cougars should once again be expecting that they will have guys on the perimeter who are capable of locking down the opposing team's best receivers and freeing up linebackers, defensive linemen, and safeties to go and make plays elsewhere. That's what you want your cornerbacks to be. I can also omit the name of Jonathan Kabeya. Now, Eddie Heckard kind of make the nickel back role in Jay Hill's defense, household position that Cougar fans are well acquainted with. Well, last year, Jakob Robinson kind of bounced back and forth between that and the outside cornerback spot. But this year, Jonathan Kabeya looks like he is the next star nickelback in this defense. It's not to say that Jonathan couldn't step out and play that outside corner spot, but that nickel position, especially when BYU goes to that 4-2-5 alignment in their defense, you got to have a guy who's capable of covering bigger bodied receivers, capable of playing more run covers than most corners are comfortable playing, and also capable of contributing in terms of covering guys one-on-one. Well, that's what Jonathan Kabeya is kind of rounding into. And BYU is excited to see what he's capable of this year because it feels like he is the odds-on favorite to be the guy at that spot and make it his own. If he becomes an Eddie Heckard type, sweet. BYU's in good hands. And the nice part is BYU only got Eddie Heckard for one season. Jonathan Kabeya has got 3 more seasons. That's the best part about this, is he could be a fixture at that spot for years to come, if not becoming a star in his own right. I look forward to seeing what this cornerback unit looks like in training camp versus what it looks like come the end of the season. And should guys hold up, and obviously you have to have some luck with regards to health on your side, but should they hold up, I fully expect that Jernaro Gilford will once again work his magic, and BYU's cornerbacks are not going to be the liability they were thought to be once upon a time, but in fact will continue to be an absolute strength of Jay Hill's defense. They have a critical job. They obviously exist on an island when it comes to playing the position that they play. And when you get beat in that position, yeah, it makes you look pretty awful and pretty embarrassed. But the nice part is, Jernaro makes sure that these guys understand everything that comes with the position and know what they're capable of, because he instills a belief in these guys that I can't say a lot of coaches are capable of doing. And you can tell that they respond in really, really incredible ways. And I'm looking forward to seeing what Jernaro does with this group, because if he once again pulls it off, it may be his best work, at least in my knowledge, looking at that cornerback unit, just relative to the talent, the experience, and everything else mixed in. Could be a pretty special year if he can deliver once again, like he's delivered for many, many years in the past. All right, coming up next, had a great conversation with Scott Draper. He has a lot of things on his plate as he oversees football from the Big 12 conference perspective. Had a great chat at Big 12 Media Days about what BYU's fit in the conference looks like, and more importantly, what the future of college football looks like from his vantage point. And we'll get to that next, right here on Locked On Cougars. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. Now, if you want to get any event you're looking forward to, whether it's a baseball game, theater, comedy, music, no matter what you're into, Game Time's got the tickets for you guys. And you may realize suddenly at the day of the event, hey, I want to be there. The best part about Game Time is they got tickets right there for you guys on the app. And the best part is as the event gets closer, ticket prices actually go down. With money you'll save on your ticket, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. The best part is Game Time makes it all possible. They are the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, making it easy to browse the app for exciting action when it comes to upcoming MLB games. Also have last-minute tickets and zone deals for big savings, like 10% off exclusive zone deals for FIFA Club World Cup matchups, as well as future soccer matchups as well. So if you want seat views, you're going to see exactly in the app exactly what you're going to see when you get to the event venue. And the best part is you know exactly what you're paying right up front, because you see the full amount, including all the fees and taxes right there when you're on the screen looking at those tickets. So take a guess, we're going to buy your tickets and do it with our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, redeem the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account, redeem the promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, and of course, they're all guaranteed. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. Hope you all are doing fantastic out there. I am on vacation, so hey, crazy things have happened. Ooh, that's crazy. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to try and make a faux reaction for you guys, but the bigger point is thank you for subscribing to the show, rating and reviewing, sharing it with those that you love, people that you know that are big Cougar fans as well. We've got a really, really robust audience, and it's a big thank you to all of you out there in Cougar Nation who have responded in droves to the work we're doing here on the podcast, and it doesn't exist without you guys, so thank you for all of your support. All right. Let's talk with Scott Draper, obviously from the Big 12 Conference office. He oversees all of football for the Big 12. And obviously, it's a sport that's a little bit in flux right now. There's a lot going on. And he was gracious enough to take some time at Big 12 Media Days to talk with myself one-on-one about, simply put, where football is right now in the Big 12, where it's going in the future, and also, well, where BYU fits from his vantage point from the conference office side of things. So here you go, Scott Draper with myself, was live from Big 12 Media Days.
As the Chief Football and Competition Officer, you've got a unique perspective across the entire league here. As you look forward to this upcoming season, what are you looking forward to most?
Well, first of all, it's good to see you. Thanks for being here. Yeah. So football season's always the kind of the kickoff of the academic year. Obviously, we've got other sports, volleyball, soccer, cross country that are in season as well. But football for us is something that we get really excited about. Obviously, we start the season in week 0 with 2 games, with notably the Iowa State, Kansas State game in Ireland, and followed by the opening of Kansas Stadium, followed after the game. So a great part of the season, early matchups in week 1 for us. Really looking forward to the season.
Are you going to be going to Ireland for Farmageddon?
Yeah, no, actually Brett is.
Okay.
Christian Yormark will be in Ireland. I'm going to be at the opening of Kansas's new stadium.
Okay.
Supporting them and representing the conference. So it'll be a great opening weekend for the league.
Now, when it comes to new facilities like Kansas is building, how much insight or how much direction do you guys also provide to programs like that when they go through that?
Not a lot. There's
Okay.
some guidelines and guide rails that we give them going into it. Obviously, we've got some specs we need for the replay booth and some the broadcast positions. But they've hired a really great architect, HNTB, to do their work. So I worked with them when I was at the University of Michigan when we did Michigan Stadium. So they've got a great architect that knows the deal. And so I look forward to seeing it. I was talking to Coach this morning. He's like, I don't know, it doesn't look like it's going to get done on time. I'm like, Coach, it always gets done on time. Trust me. I've been through this.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it now, but it will.
I asked that because obviously BYU with LaVell Edwards Stadium, it's 60 plus years old now. I'm looking forward. I'm sure BYU's talked about stuff like that. When it comes to the infrastructure for the Big 12, do you guys essentially suggest, hey, maybe you guys want to change this or do that when it comes to future infrastructure projects?
No, not really.
Okay.
We obviously, when we added new members, we did an audit of what the facilities they had to make sure that if there were challenges that we needed to know about, we knew that well in advance. Certainly with adding the schools since I've been in the league, the Pac-12 schools since I've been in the league, I had great facilities that they've done a great job with. When I was in the American, we had Cincinnati and UCF, and at both Cincinnati had just done a big renovation. UCF did some, now going through a big one. So those things matter. Those opportunities to create premium spaces for their fans. Every AD and president knows their fan base the best, and whatever their fan base needs and requires, they're going to deliver. They're not going to do something that they don't need. So I have every confidence in Brian and the team there to be able to find the right balance.
Obviously, football's entering a whole new era with the House settlement and everything. How different do you think it's going to change in terms of the sports landscape, I guess?
It'll change it a lot. I think what I'm hoping that it will happen, and the coaches mentioned this yesterday, and I'm sure you'll hear more from the coaches today, about the need to have playing rules across the board that are equitable for everybody and that they're enforced. And that's a really big part of it. If that happens and there's balance, across the board in terms of the revenue sharing, that folks aren't able to outspend 2 or 3 times what everybody else is doing. That will be a good thing for college football. I think the race to the top for having the biggest donors is a short-term, kind of blip on the radar, I hope. But it's part of who we are now, and that's a good thing. I think the players have long deserved the opportunity to earn a living playing college football.
Are there any initiatives from your side of things as the chief football officer that you're looking forward to implementing this year in particular?
Well, nothing on the rules side.
Yeah.
We had, obviously the technology changes last year. That was a big lift that we integrated.
The coach
to player
yeah.
communication and the in-game video. Yeah. Nothing big on that side this year. We always try to improve. Like for us, the most important job that I have in the fall is our officiating program, and to ensure that we have our officials are prepared for the season. We'll officiate somewhere around 17,000, 18,000 plays. And to eliminate the mistakes, our goal is to get them all right. That has to be our goal, and we'll work really hard to do that.
When it comes to the schools, I guess in the old Pac-12 footprint, including BYU on the west side, what has been your perception of their inclusion into this conference and how they have fit in?
Seamless and additive. Yeah. Not only on the field, certainly, you saw Arizona State obviously win the Big 12 last year, but what they bring, what their markets bring to the Big 12, how it's added to our experience for our student athletes, for our fans. I had never been to Salt Lake City before.
Right.
BYU was added into our league a few years ago, and now I went to the BYU-Utah game last year and saw what that game means to both fan bases, how the city rallies around it. Obviously, it'll be in Provo this year, so I'm excited to go back to it and see it this year as well. So I think it's only been, as Brett's talked about, being a global conference. We are a national conference now. Taking that to be a global conference is really a big focus of his, and it helps us grow and sustain the position we have in college athletics.
Talk about being an international conference. BYU with its church affiliation literally is international. Has that helped influence in any way the Big 12?
Well, it provides opportunity for sure. We have obviously the game in Ireland this year, game in Ireland next year. Certainly working closely with Brian and the team to look for opportunities for BYU to play internationally in football and in other sports, candidly. So hopefully we have some things to talk about and share in the upcoming months, but know that he's been aggressive, we've been aggressive to try to bring Big 12 football to places that outside our states.
There you have it, Scott Draper from the Big 12 Conference Office. A big thank you to him for taking some time to talk with myself. And I think he's got a very interesting vantage point, obviously running football for the conference. And he is working in lockstep with guys like Brett Yormark and obviously in communication with BYU's athletic director, Brian Santiago, the other ADs in the conference, and more particularly the head coaches, Kalani Sitake and the like, essentially saying, okay, what do you guys need from us at the conference level that can help you guys succeed at your jobs? Because they obviously want the Big 12 to be seen in the best light possible, and that only happens when you have collaboration with everybody that, has a vested interest in said venture. And really interesting times, obviously, in the college football space, and we'll see where the future holds. But you can tell this is a guy who's very happy to have have BYU as a member of the Big 12 Conference, and I look forward to seeing what the future holds when it comes to college football. I'm still in love with the sport. I know that some of you may have been turned off by all the changes that it's undergone in recent years, but whenever they actually start the games every fall, I still get those butterflies in my stomach thinking, okay, this is the best sport in the entire world. I am a college football junkie at heart. I love a lot of other sports, but college football was my first love, and it still is very much number one in my heart. And I think a guy like Scott Draper understands that it still holds a lot of sway for a lot of people out there in the sports universe. All right, coming up next, a brief but fun conversation all the same, looking behind the curtain at the University of Utah, their football program. I got, I think, a grand total of like 2 minutes with Smith Snowden down to Big 12 Media Days, and it's not for a lack of me wanting more time to talk with the Utes star cornerback. Some people thought maybe a BYU Cougar once upon a time. We'll get to that conversation next as we wrap up this edition of Locked On Cougars right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Now, if you are like me and you want to manage your money just a little bit better, Monarch Money is the place to help you guys out with this. The best part is a complete financial command center, putting you in full control of all of your finances. You can see exactly what's going on with your accounts, where your spending is at, where your savings sit. You can see where your investment accounts may be at. It's all right there at the touch of a button. You open that app and it's right there in front of you guys. The best part is all of it is available to you guys whenever you want to check it out. You don't have to go jumping around to different apps. You don't have to log into different websites to get a full look at where your finances are at. The best part is our friends at Monarch Money made it as simple as possible, and they want to put you guys in full control. When you start tracking your spending with Monarch Money, you know exactly, okay, I'm splurging on too much takeout, or I'm splurging too much on all of my different apps and the platforms I'm having to subscribe to. And that can help you obviously track where your money's going, and more importantly, start building wealth alongside it. So if you want to take control of your finances and do it with our friends at Monarch Money. Go to monarchmoney.com, use the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and get 50% off your first year. You heard that right. It's monarchmoney.com, using the promo code LOCKEDONCollege, and you'll get half off your first year. Thank you once again for making Locked On Cougars your first listen of the day. If you have not done so already, make sure you subscribe to the Locked On Cougars Insider Group, the inside scoop on all things BYU sports that I am hearing about and transmitting over to you guys via text message. The best part is just $5 a month to be a part of the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. And the kicker on top of all that, get a 14-day free trial, 2 full weeks without having to spend a single penny to get that inside intel that you crave. So join us today on the Locked On Cougars Insider Group. All right, time now to finish up today's podcast with a very brief, but very fun conversation. Smith Snowden is a guy I have known for a really, really long time. I'll just tell you this much. He is now a bona fide NFL draft prospect for the University of Utah. Obviously, many Cougar fans hoped he was going to pick BYU back in the day. There was many, rumors about him potentially leaving Utah this offseason, some thoughts that he may end up at BYU in the end. But all the same, he is still at the University of Utah. But Smith ever to me will be this young buck who used to come to JCW's when I was doing BYU pre and post game shows with his dad, Will Snowden, and seemingly everything that we had in front of us. We had a pretty incredible spread. And Smith being this pint-sized dude, and he's not the biggest dude in the entire world, but man, could that kid eat. I have loved him from the time he was a really, really young kid. Now he's morphed into just an incredible young man. I wanted to talk with him. I could talk to him for an hour. I got, I think, a grand total of like maybe 2 minutes at the very most, because Utah Sports Information Department essentially was right over his shoulder as I was talking with him and said, hey, you need to wrap this up. And I was like, I only got like 2 minutes with him. But nonetheless, it was a fun 2 minutes all the same. A lot of thoughts about BYU, a lot of thoughts about the Holy War, and his first time ever that he will actually play in Lavelle Edwards Stadium, a place that he frequented as a young man. So here you go. Without further ado, Smith Snowden with myself right here on Locked On Cougars.
Your dad obviously played for BYU. You play for Utah. How's that dynamic work in the family?
No, my dad, he cheers for me regardless, wherever that is. So he's a Utah man now.
Yeah.
Yep.
he's repping for the U. I get all that. Now, obviously, you've made a lot of headlines. You've been a standout player for quite some time. What are you looking forward to most this year with what could potentially be your final season in college football?
Just trying to take my game to the next level, really trying to separate myself from other people like I have in the past. I think this is a really big year for me just to separate myself.
What do you like most about the BYU-Utah rivalry?
I think it's just the history of it, right?
Yeah.
It's been going on for so long, and there's not a better game to play in, to be honest. That was my favorite game I played in. It's just electric, and now we get to go down there and play them, and I know it's going to be rocking in there, so I'm pumped.
Have you played in Provo before ever?
I have not.
So this is your first experience going to Lavelle?
Yes, sir.
But you grew up going to games there and everything.
Yes,
so
sir.
How do you think it might change being a player in it versus having been a fan in the stands there?
Yeah, no, I mean, we know the fans. They're diehard fans, and that's how the way that they should be. So just being in there, it's going to be fun. It's exciting just to go in there and play on that field.
What's your expectation level for Utah this season? Like, what do you think you guys can accomplish?
I truly believe sky's the limit with this new offense and this defense, man. If we have offense rolling and defense rolling, a lot can happen. I'm excited for it.
New offensive staff, Jason Beck comes in, brings a quarterback like Devin Dampier in. What's it been like going against those guys in practice?
Coach Beck has a tricky offense.
Okay.
Spring ball, kind of getting used to what they like to do, and on top of that, having Devin, it's legit. I'm excited.
What's the toughest part about defending it? Like, just overall, what's the trickiest part about it?
It's an RPO team,
Okay.
so just whether it's going to be a run or a pass, and just kind of knowing what the old lineman is doing. They do a lot of pulls. There's a lot going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on.
Trying to track all of it at the same
right.
time. Well, Smith, thanks for the time, man.
Yes, sir. Appreciate it.
There you have it. Big thank you to Smith Snowden for taking the time to join us here on the podcast. And as always, a big thank you to all of you for being a part of the podcast as well. Very much looking forward to that Holy War matchup, the 150th anniversary of BYU's founding that week, their homecoming week, and obviously the University of Utah making the 40-mile trip south. And as Smith said, he's looking forward to the environment. He's been a part of the environment at LES as a fan, but now he'll experience it as a player. But you can tell that he wants to come out on the winning side as a member of the University of Utah football program, but I can guarantee you BYU wants to send him away and send him with a third straight loss in that rivalry matchup. All right, that is going to do it for today's edition of the show. Hope you all are doing fantastic out there. Hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday wherever and whenever you hear this. And as always, thank you for making Locked On Cougars your first listen today, and we'll catch you guys again tomorrow right here on the Locked On Cougars podcast.